Hello YouTubers, my name is Frederick Lopez, you're in the Dark Knight of Steel channel, and in anticipation for LEGO Batman, I'm going to be going over my personal top 10 list of my personal favorite Batman films and video games. And in this video I'm going to be going over my top 10 favorite Batman video games. I figure I edit enough fan music tributes and trailers of Batman that I bring my personal opinion of my favorites and share them with you. Now, favorite Batman video games. These are only Batman video games that I have personally played. But honorable mentions. Any of the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis Batman games. Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever. A video game called Justice League Heroes makes my honorable mentions. And to start off, number 10 on my list is Batman Rise of Senzu. Yeah, Batman Rise of Senzu is pretty interesting. I have the game right here, and yeah, it has Senzu, and he's specifically created for a video game. It's pretty cool. It's pretty much a classic beat-em-up game. It's either single-player or multiplayer, and Senzu is created specifically for this. It's the first time that we have had a character created in the mythology through a video game. We had others like Harley Quinn created through the animated series and then later on put into comics. This one was created solely for this video game. It is a sequel to Batman Vengeance. And it's a pretty action-packed game. I like it a lot. The only thing, though, is it gets a little bit repetitive. It's a bit more routine and kind of cartoony than Batman Vengeance, but it is in the animated series universe. It's in the New Adventures. So you get to play as Batman, Batgirl, Tim Drake, Robin, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and it's a very fun game. It has all the voice cast from the animated series, and it feels like a spiritual sequel. And it has the Danny Elfman music in there. Of course, the animated series theme by Shirley Walker was from that, but this one has the actual like Batman 1989 theme. It's pretty cool. I love the game. You get to fight Clayface, Bane, the Senzu character, and many others. And it's just one of those fun, classic beat-em-up games by Ubisoft. And if you have any used game stores or whatever, I'd highly check this out. I don't see this on enough lists, and it is among one of my personal favorites. Number 9 to the list. One can argue before the LEGO Batman movie, before the LEGO movie, maybe after the Batman LEGO sets, this started it all. LEGO Batman, the video game. I have it for the PS2. It's available for the PS3, and it is a fun game. I remember The Dark Knight came out in 2008. Arkham Asylum was getting delayed until it came out in 2009, and I needed something to really tie me over. LEGO Batman is a fantastic game. One of the few LEGO Batman games I played, one of the few LEGO games I played, and it's awesome. For any fans of the film, it just gets everything from the 60s show and the Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney films. From the Batman Anthology, has the Danny Elfman music, they have Harley Quinn Joker, just all his rogues galleries. They have pay homage to the Cathedral, Penguin's Lair, the Riddler, just everything. And this is before they had voices, but it's a very fun 1- or 2-player game. You get to switch between Batman and Robin in LEGO form. It's fantastic. It's almost like a silent film that's made out of plastic 3D figures. It's great. It's one of the most fun Batman games, and I'd definitely be revisiting this before I see LEGO Batman the movie. And for those who have not seen LEGO Batman or have been familiar with LEGO Batman, play these games. This one's good, and I heard LEGO Batman 2 DC Superheroes is great, as well as a third. But yeah, LEGO Batman's one of my favorite games. It's meant for kids, but anybody who's a child or adult can play this video game. It's rated E10, and it is just fantastic. For a Batman fan and a gamer, this is just a perfect experience. Number 8 on my list is a PlayStation 2 video game. One of the very early Batman games. Before Batman Dark Tomorrow, it's called Batman Vengeance. This is the prelude to Rise of Senzu. It's 1 player, and it is fantastic. This is like the New Adventures Batman. Has a great story. Has CGI cutscenes, much like Final Fantasy or Soul Reaver, much like the other games. All the animated cast, and it is just great. It has the Joker, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze that you can face against, and it starts off with the Joker. You have this woman going to Batman saying, "My son's missing." He rescues this woman, "My son's missing," and he has to find him, and the Joker's behind it. Then there's other villains like Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze, and then the Joker as well, that have this kind of plot that's tied together in a way, and the Joker's just awesome in this. The gameplay, is pretty good. Batman moves a little strange, but once you do that and get the envelopes for like the cheats where you can have like unlimited batarangs and the grapple, it's fantastic. And one of my favorite Batman games, especially in an era where there wasn't that many great Batman games. And let's face it, there's been a lot of bad Batman games. Before Arkham Asylum and them, we forgot how bad Batman could be, but he's back, and this was one of those to tie people over and give them a taste of what a good Batman game could be like before we got the Arkham Asylum series. Number 7 on my list is a PlayStation 2 video game, Batman Begins, the video game adaptation. Came out in 2005 to coincide with the movie, has all the actors' voices, Christian Bale, Katie Holmes, Morgan Freeman, Liam Neeson, Cillian Murphy. This is awesome. Get to drive the Batmobile in this. Oh yeah, in Batman Vengeance you could drive the Batwing and Batmobile, but this one you get to drive the Tumbler, get to switch suits. It's just awesome. Before the Arkham Asylum games, before Arkham, this was like the best Batman game. It's kind of a proto-Arkham, but a little bit more stealth. That's one of the negatives, is that it relies a little bit too much on stealth where you can just go and beat them up. But it's great. You get to use fear as an intimidation method. And yeah, Christian Bale's Batman and Batman Begins storyline in video game form. They did this with Superman. They did this with Superman Returns and like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. But yeah, this one by EA Games is just a well-crafted Batman game. And where else are going to be Christian Bale's Batman? Get to be Christian Bale and fight like the Christopher Nolan Batman. I really wish they made adaptations for The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, and maybe we'll get a remastered version of this where we get to play throughout the whole trilogy, like a Star Wars trilogy thing, but with Batman and The Dark Knight. That'd be great. But yeah, Batman Begins is one of my favorite Batman games, and is an enjoyable one. I like movie adaptations, and this one's pretty unique. It feels like Batman. The Gotham and everything feels like a Batman world, but grounded, and you get have all the gadgets like the Batarang, the Batmobile, smoke pellets, just different stuff like that, and grapple. It's just fantastic. I love some of the maneuvers you can do with vault attacks and everything, but yeah, only con about it, too much stealth, but other than that, it's a very well-crafted adaptation of the movie Batman Begins. I would highly recommend it. Number 6 on my list is a PS3 video game that's a fighting game called Injustice: Gods Among Us. Yes, this has the entire Justice League. As a matter of fact, I don't know how Justice League's going to be, but this is pretty much the best Justice League film we have in a video game. It is awesome, and yeah, you get to fight another Earth, go into another world, and it's Batman in the first chapter introduced in another world with Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman, finding out that there's this another Earth where Superman's become like this dictator and has taken over the world. Fantastic. Very nightmare effect from Batman v Superman, and it's just fantastic. It's a great fighting game. I love DC versus Mortal Kombat, but everything that happened in that game they perfected and went beyond with Injustice: Gods Among Us. And Kevin Conroy comes back as a voice of Batman, so yeah, I would highly recommend it. It has most of the Justice League cast in this, and it's one of the most fun fighting games. It makes you feel like a superhero, and I like the stuff with Batman and the stuff with Robin and different Earths, and how there's 2 separate Batmen and what happened to them. Just fantastic stuff all around. The suits kind of have like a Michael Keaton, Christian Bale element from each world, but yeah, definitely a great game, and I remember playing this a lot of times in spring of 2013. Great game, great soundtrack. Yeah, play Injustice: Gods Among Us, especially before Injustice 2. Number 5 on my list is PlayStation 4's Batman Arkham Knight. This is a fantastic game. As a matter of fact, when it comes to gameplay, just gameplay, this is probably the best, most like fluid Batman video game ever. But I'm counting story and other things, and me personally, it's not as good as the other games story-wise. But gameplay is great, the Batmobile's in it, but it's a little bit too much. I just had a problem with the Cobra tanks, because stealth and tanks should not go together when fighting. Not with Batmobile. The Batmobile should be able to go through a tank, or at least fight with it without being afraid. And to basically die in this Batmobile against a Cobra tank and do stealth missions in a car, it's just ridiculous. But I do like how you get to play the different bat suits. I like the added content, stuff with Scarecrow, Arkham Knight. Twist was obvious from the day they announced the video game, but it's still good in its own interpretation. But the only thing that bogs us down is some of the Batmobile stuff, and weaker story, which also includes too much of the Joker. They had a Joker hard-on in this, and he was already dead in Arkham City. And yeah, the Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight could have held this game entirely on their own. But it is nice having Kevin Conroy as Batman one last time with these villains, and just the world being so open. It's just one of the most definitive gaming experiences Arkham Asylum and then Arkham Knight just truly brought it to the next level. But story-wise and the ending and Joker, I can't really recommend it over the other Arkham games. The other Arkham games are a bit stronger. You could definitely feel Paul Dini's absence in this game. But other than that, it's one of the best Batman video games I've ever played. And if you haven't played Arkham Knight yet, check that out and the other Arkham games. They're fantastic. Number 4 on my list is a PlayStation 3 Batman Arkham Origins. The only con this game has is it's really glitchy, and Kevin Conroy's not back. Roger Craig Smith does a good job, but he's kind of more like Christian Bale, and then, of course, Chris Redfield. But Troy Baker sounds exactly like a young Mark Hamill. It's scary. But the story in this is one of the best Batman stories. I love the origins of it all in the Arkham universe, but it just brings a grittier and darker vibe than you're expecting, and it has a stronger story than some of the others, and I like it over Arkham Knight. In a way, this is my second favorite Batman in the Arkham universe, behind Asylum when it comes to story, but with the gameplay and everything, the first two are always going to be the strongest. But Arkham Origins, I feel like, is a very underrated video game. If you look past some of the glitches, and if you're a Batman fan, you're going to see how good of a story this has. The Deathstroke fight is one of the best boss battles I've ever done in a video game. Black Mask Twist was very, very well done. And overall, it's just an enjoyable video game, and it's on Christmas, so it kind of has that kind of Batman Returns vibe to it. But yeah, check out Batman Arkham Origins. It's very underrated. It's in my number 4 spot, and among one of my favorite of the Arkham series. Number 3 on my list is probably the best made Arkham game, but it's not my favorite, and it's Batman Arkham City. It's a great game. Everything they did in Asylum, they improved upon in gameplay and in story. The only thing is, though, even though it's a big open world, some of it feels a bit smaller. It's almost like going from Dead Space to Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 is better than Dead Space in every way possible. Something about that small environment that adds a lot more and feels larger with an atmosphere. But other than that, I really like it. The only con I have about this game is that it just tried to juggle too much, where you don't feel like everything got its moment to shine. It's just like boom, 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 boom. But yeah, this introduced the different fighting systems. You get to play as Catwoman for the first time and Batman. And I love the stuff with Mark Hamill, and that ending is just so bittersweet, and it's an enjoyable experience. Gotham, the TV show, and Dark Knight Rises, you can tell, took a lot of influence from Arkham City. And it is probably among the best of the Arkham series. Not my personal favorite, but the best. And it's no surprise why it's ranked so high. This is one of the best games. If you haven't played it, definitely pick up a copy and play Arkham City. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and all the Arkham games. This improves upon the combat and just all-around response time and the gadgets. You just feel more like Batman. You feel more powerful here. And it's nice going in an open world after being in Arkham Asylum and dealing with the different characters and territories such as Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, Joker, and Harley, and stuff like that. And Hugo Strange and Ra's al Ghul's appearance with Stein Kotick as Talia al Ghul is just fantastic. Very cinematic Batman game, and among my favorites. However, when it comes to story, and Arkham City was my number 2 favorite. Batman the Telltale series, I know this sounds silly, is actually a very, very well-crafted Batman story. I did a review on my other channel, and it is a surprise. Basically, Telltale games, they're all about storytelling. Maybe it's just me, I'm just a sucker for storytelling. There's gameplay, graphics, but when there's a strong story, that goes a long, long way. That's why I like the Final Fantasy games, some of the Resident Evil and Uncharted games. They're great. I love the story, and it basically is one of those games like Mass Effect where you choose and your choices influence the story, so it's tough to play it a number of ways. But other than that, it's very original. It basically brings its own interpretation and redefines the rules for Batman. It's a Batman starting out, like a late year 1, year 2 Batman. Troy Baker plays the voice of Batman. He's such a great voice artist. You can't even tell that the Joker from Arkham Origins was Batman in that. It's among one of my favorites. It's like a comic book come to life. The animation and graphics look like a comic book, and it's very cinematic. It's almost like playing a 5-hour movie, really. And I love the stuff they do with Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. Some of the stuff they do with Joker and Vicky Vale's in it. Carmine Falcone. I love the stuff they do with Harvey Dent and Two-Face. That was very cool. They actually kind of brought more of his split personality into the story. And they also brought the fact that him and Bruce were friends. And I liked that because that's kind of missing. So it kind of brought an animated series aspect to it. But overall, it did a lot of original stuff that was pretty ballsy, and I really haven't seen it in any other incarnation. And I like that it brought something refreshing. I wasn't expecting much after the Arkham games. I'm like, nothing could be better. It's just different, but it's a good type of different, where you're just like, wow, that I wasn't expecting it to be that way. And it was actually pretty good. As a Batman fan, I loved it. It just honored everything from the past 75 years on. And it's a great game. If you haven't checked out Batman the Telltale series, I recommend getting the season pass now and playing the game straight through. It is a very, very well-crafted video game. I love the stuff with Selina Kyle and Bruce, just everything. And they really bring something new to the Batman lore mythos that I haven't seen done before. Now, on to my number one. Many people might disagree on this. Arkham City, I know, is a fantastic game, but my personal favorite still is Batman Arkham Asylum, the game that started it all, that showed us that a Batman video game can be a well-made and just all-around fun experience and just a great game overall. I have a poster of it. And yeah, Arkham Asylum. Paul Dini did the story. You had the animated series cast, Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn, Mark Hamill's Joker, Kevin Conroy's Batman, just all around. It is just an awesome video game, and there's city and night and origins, but there's something interesting about having a person be in a prison in which they put all the inmates in. Like, all the inmates are there because of Batman, and he's stuck in there for one night where he put all the prisoners. That's an interesting idea, and it brought a very kind of like Panic Room, Escape from New York vibe. Arkham City was more like Escape from New York, but this is just Arkham Asylum. He's stuck in a prison and he has to get out one bad night where he faces almost against every villain that's in there. Joker, Bane, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Killer Croc, a whole bunch of bad people. Mr. Zsasz, just all of it is just so rich, and even though it's a small environment, everything feels so large. It feels so real and visceral, and it's just dark, kind of like Art Deco atmosphere, very gothic, and I love it. The combat is not as fluid as the later on games. You don't have all the gadgets, but something about this feels very Batman. He's an older Batman, so it takes all the comic book history into account, and then the video game is after that, and it's great seeing this. This is the first game like it, and really, I feel like this is the best one. There's other stuff that makes it a more enjoyable experience, improves upon everything, but there's just something that this game had, and for me, it's my favorite Batman video game that I have played. And all the Arkham games are great, all the Batman games are great, I'm a big fan, but like Arkham Asylum, it's just special. It's a special type of game. I wouldn't mind seeing a film. Of course, there's a graphic novel, Arkham Asylum, but it just has a certain type of magic that I feel like is not going to be recreated, at least fully, for a long time. And Arkham Asylum did to Batman in video games what the Christopher Nolan films did to Batman in film. There's a whole bunch of bad Batman video games, some okay, some mediocre. This is the one that showed what Batman could be like in a video game, what superheroes could be like in video games, the way the Christopher Nolan trilogy showed Batman or superheroes could be in cinema. And to me, Batman Arkham Asylum is my #1 favorite game. So if you haven't played it, check out the Arkham series and check out Arkham Asylum. Anyway, that's my personal list. Let me know what your favorite Batman games are in the comments below. Let me know if I missed any you thought should have been on the list. I might have not played them, but if I did, I just had to put 10 on the list. It was kind of hard, but those are the ones I owned and play a lot. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this list. Feel free to check out some of my reviews on my other channel, and feel free to check out my top 10 list of my favorite Batman films, which include live action and some of the animated films released on DVD and VHS. So yeah, that's my list in anticipation for LEGO Batman. Let me know what your favorite Batman games are in the comments below, and thank you for watching.